Good evening, afternoon, whatever it may happen to be. My friends, I know I keep ping-ponging my schedule around. I was thinking about doing a late night one, actually doing some tired blogging at midnight, but then I didn't want to be too late. Anyway, I'm boring y'all with explanations, and nobody cares about that. Hold on, I am going to do something to try to recapture your attention, possibly. Let's see if I'm smart enough to do this. There we go. There she is, the lovely and beautiful, overpaid assistant Cassie, licking her paws. And now, back to the image of the law-abiding citizen. It has a little bit to do with what I'm going to talk about. Oh, goodness, isn't I? She had 2 stinkies. Hopefully the rain doesn't rain me out. Howdy, John, JPRPH1. It's going okay. I didn't really feel that great today, but my favorite part of the day anymore is when I'm working is coming home to see Cassie, and when I'm not working is streaming and hanging out with you wonderful people out here. Kaplot, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. It is good to see you, sir. When I should have been doing more show prep, I was watching more of the, I was rewatching the stream about the Rest in Peace for Bird of Prey 5. I don't know why, it just seemed like the thing to do. So, it's good to see everybody here. The topic today, I hesitated to do it because it is not really in my area of expertise, but then when has that ever stopped me from talking about anything? Everybody saying hello to each other, that is wunderbar. Hail, Connie Cleary. I know that you are probably ping-ponging between here, and so is probably JPR1, between here and Thunderball. I sure appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you so very much. I do intend to be done before Netter's Network, but I have pinned it to the top of the chat. You should be so impressed that I learned how to do that, so that anyone who wishes can go over there and watch that after this stream. And hello, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, one of the best channels out there. And I don't know, hopefully I'm not misspeaking. You at least seem to be a fellow, don't know if conservative is the right term, but we seem to have very similar thoughts on things. And yes, you have inspired me. I will stop self-censoring. It's COVID, damn it. Now, of course, everything that I'm saying is for educational purposes mainly, and the views of the host may not be those of YouTube, and I'm probably a big dodo head. Oh, that was a loud crack of thunder. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep going for a bit, though. Hopefully that's not a mistake. I worry about it because I have had the storm take this computer out. The China virus. Nobody asked me about China. I don't understand why nobody asked me about China. The coof. For a long time, I was demonstrating the absurd by being absurd, calling it the disease that shall not be named. And I may do that once in a while, but I probably run the joke into the ground. So I will go back to calling it COVID. I don't claim to be an expert on COVID, but I do think that YouTube, you guys need to understand, unless you got that damn doctorate in medicine, you have about as much right to censor me about any of it as the local janitor does. Frankly, I probably have more respect for the janitor. Thank you for the free platform, but censoring us on this is frankly a crap. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies was conservative before conservative was cool. I was too, and then I've talked about my journey. I've kind of gone back and forth, but I'm back into the conservative-ish, whatever the hell this is, fold. I've embraced Trump. I still am willing to criticize him. I'm still willing to listen to criticisms of him. I know that you're an intelligent person. I know you don't follow anybody blindly. I know you don't. But I don't want to end up being guilty of that myself, especially when I'm accusing some of my friends, basically, of that on the other side. The beer bug was good for a while. Gotcha. And the only thing I'm a master of is talking out of my butt. I'm going to try to avoid cussing for at least 2 more minutes. Not self-censoring. I've learned that they're more likely to censor us after the 8 minutes. So if they do censor me for saying COVID, well, that's on them. But I was silly enough to say it in the first 8 minutes. All right, so the topic. Don't want to drag my feet too much further, but I do have reasons for wanting to get past the 8-minute mark before I get too deep into it. The topic is going to be drones, specifically, mainly, but not exclusively, Ukrainian drones and how that is changing the face of warfare. I say melodramatically forever, but as we all know, nothing's really forever. But warfare is definitely entering into another stage. And something happened recently that, while it's not exactly drones, I think it helps make the point. Basically, we will probably always need boots on the ground, but instead of sending 100 or 200 people to go get shot, we can just send a couple of drones. And often they will do the work, and even if they don't, we're out drones. We're not out people. All right, the 8-minute mark has come. Hopefully I kept it at least entertaining-ish. Let you know what the topic is. Talk to you in the chat. One last thing to announce about the channel, and then I'll get on with the talk. I am about halfway to monetization. Don't know, maybe I should keep it until I'm down to fewer hours, but I recently just got over 1,500, leaving me a little bit less than 1,500 to go. So I appreciate everyone being here. I don't want to get too greedy, but by all means, if you can even just find a random video every day or so and watch it, if you don't mind. And I know Mr. Londell, we got him monetized. I'm trying to get Gorillas monetized. I've got his stuff going on the background most evenings now. Trying to focus on you and Netter. Hopefully I'm not forgetting somebody. But you are the two that I've been trying to focus on since we got Mr. Londell monetized. Don't want to back off too much, Mr. Londell. He's got wonderful movies. His channel is amazing. But I would love to get Gorillas and Netters monetized if I can, and frankly, my own. But, one thing at a time. Okay, I'm going to pull a risky thing here. I'm going to give a trigger warning. This may be graphic. If I don't think this will get me pulled down, but I might get a nasty gram like I got on my 9/11 thing, where I was told that this is absolutely not for kids, and we're going to make it age related or whatever. Probably going to happen again. Let's see if I can grab your attention with this scene from Law Abiding Citizen. It does pertain.
Well, you're going to take that? After all the grief you've given me over cell phone?
Well, that's one of the benefits of being a judge, Mr. Rice. I can pretty much do whatever I want. Hello?
Yep, that will probably, if it doesn't get me pulled down, it will almost certainly get me one of those This is graphic. Kids shouldn't be seeing it, and probably they shouldn't. You're very welcome, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. And John, same here. I've been 2Xing for Gorillas and Netters. Yes, sir. Me too. Me too. And I've also been playing some of my own stuff, which I know you play mine as well. I know you do. So appreciate you, sir. How does that have anything to do with drones? Well, the way it has something to do with drones is basically this fictional character, the law-abiding citizen, did spiffy things to cause a cell phone to explode, taking out the judge who had wrongfully sentenced some people who had invaded his house. And again, I know that there are words that YouTube doesn't like, but essentially they had slain and then raped his wife and his daughter. And he ended up being one of these people who had skills and stuff, which kind of begs the question. It's one of the few flaws in the movie. If he's such a badass, why was he surprised and able to be taken down? But it's not enough of a flaw to ruin the movie because, let's face it, nobody's invulnerable. Why that matters to today, I'm sure you've already watched the news. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. That's where the Mossad got the idea from. I do not know, but it's what I thought of when I heard that news. And I'm not trying to delay about the drones, but I thought that it makes it more relevant to realize that basically good and bad people. I know this is a really touchy topic in this community, because even though a lot of us are right wingers, there's a big divide when it comes to. I don't think anybody supports, Islamic terrorists, but there are those that feel that they're very good people who feel like the Palestinians are not being treated well, and I don't want to get into that here, mainly because I just don't want to muddy the waters with the topic. Do you think the cell phones and walkie-talkies was Israel? Well, I don't know, but I think that likely that is so. I could be wrong. But we're just going to dive into what NPR says about it and then talk about the drones. Horse 123, sup? Well, I am awake. I'm somewhat cognizant. We're going to be talking about drones and, frankly, other, shall we say, guided weaponry of sorts. There's so much talking. I love it, though. Horse 123, Israel and CIA sitting in a tree. I do not think you are wrong. I don't think you are wrong. NPR, maybe not the best source, but I hope that it's one that maybe not all of us can agree on, but at least it won't scare away left-wingers who are also wanting to get some good out of this stream. Hezbollah pagers explode across Lebanon, causing thousands of injuries. I first heard about this on X more and more. That's where I'm hearing most of my stuff from first. Possibly that puts me in an echo chamber, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting, if not, no, I am. I'm getting more, and in many cases, better information than I have in a long, long time. Yeah, I was thinking that myself, says JPRPH1. Good evening, Matt Cheatwood. This is a topic that likely you should be the one doing the talking about. We're going to be discussing drones, and for a while we're going to segue into what's going on in the Middle East. Not so much with drones per se, but with basically directed weaponry. I don't know what the real term would be, but here we have a Lebanese police officer inspecting a car damaged by an exploding pager in Beirut on Tuesday. Hundreds of pagers belonging to Hezbollah members exploded simultaneously. The group blamed Israel. Matt Cheatwood, no, drones are long after my time. I understand. Connie Cleary, good evening. Yes, everyone's saying hello. I love you people. I love it. Electronic pagers belonging to members of the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah exploded simultaneously on Tuesday afternoon, killing at least 9 people and wounding around 2,800 across the Middle East nation. The method of attack was highly unusual, if not unprecedented, and raised the specter of an escalation in the Israel-Hezbollah fighting. Lebanese government officials and Hezbollah blamed Israel after examining all the facts, available data, and information about the heinous attack that took place this afternoon. We hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression, Hezbollah said in a statement. Israel's military declined to comment. However, in Washington, one U.S. official who was not authorized to speak publicly, and yet they did anyway, side note, but that's okay. We all get to have our sources. Lemon Pie, good evening. Thank you for showing up and coming along. I hope I am able to entertain and possibly even inform a little bit. The discussion is going to be about drones, but I'm taking a segue because it's timely into the exploding cell phone or pagers, the event that is happening or has happened in the Middle East. Lemon pie, escalation is a word the media overuses. It's already war, and not wrong. I'm trying to be delicate, not to jump on you. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm trying to be delicate because I know there are people I respect in the community who have a different take than a lot of us do about these situations. So I want to be respectful to them. But I guess the way I'm going to put it is, after being reminded that after 9/11 there were lots of celebrations in that area, it's hard. I know I need to, but it's hard to feel sympathetic right now. That's probably wrong of me. But Matt Cheatwood, the interesting question for historians is, when did the Third World War actually start? That is a good question. You are implying, inferring, whatever the term would be. I always get those two mixed up. That World War III has already begun, and I would love for you to be wrong, but at this time I don't have a leg to stand on to try to dispute you. And what I want isn't what matters. It's facts is what matters. Mikey Susan 4, hello. I was going to have this at 10 o'clock, and then I realized, hey, Mikey Susie 4 has a stream going on at a similar time, so I moved it back so that people can go to your stream. I think I made you a wrench. Yeah, please feel free to put your upcoming streams in there. I don't mean to control what people are doing, because I know that there's so many wonderful content creators in this community. But for now, I'm going to recommend, when I'm done, please go to Netter's Network, and when that's done or getting close to done, Mikey Susie 4 has some streams going on. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. It's only a war crime if you lose. Yeah, and again, I don't mean to be indelicate to people with different positions, but it's not exactly wrong. I feel like that should be wrong, but it's a sad truth. If you win, usually you're not the one that's being tried for the war crimes. Thanks for the wrench, by the way. Oh, you're welcome. And let me know if there's anyone that I missed. Because sometimes the chronic fatigue is a real thing. Sometimes I should have put someone in as a wrench and don't think about it. Sadly. All right. People saying hello. Wonderful, wonderful. Matt Cheatwood. You're talking about the Geneva suggestions. Brilliant. That's brilliant. All right. So Israel's military declined to comment. However, in Washington, one U.S. official who is not authorized to speak publicly told NPR that Israel informed the U.S. it was responsible. Israel provided the information after the attack was over. Israel's security forces have a history of carrying out tech-related attacks, such as exploding cell phones. Doubt if anyone in here has heard the brilliant Weird Al song, "We all have cell phones, so come on, let's get real." Horse 123 would be surprised if France is being held back from getting involved in Ukraine. France sending troops, oh yeah, would only escalate the conflict. No, I agree. Okay, Mikey Susie 4, Raquel's doing a later stream. It's not up yet. Okay. So, yeah, and I mean, there's probably some other streams that I'm forgetting about, but after I'm done, you got the choice of Netter's Network, you've got Raquel's channel. There are so many people. You could probably just run 24/7 in this community and watch something amazing. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Don't worry about being indelicate. Everyone is allowed an opinion. No, you're right. You're totally right. And I'm trying to be less self-censoring, but I don't want to go too far the other way, and start being like, screw you and the horse you rode in on. I don't want to be that guy, at least not just yet. Matt Cheatwood's favorite Weird Al song now is Foil, and yeah, for a long time it was his song about spending one more minute with you, which I directed toward my ex-wife, but more and more, Foil. Resolute Germ is doing his roundtable. Please feel free to put that up in the chat as well if you'd like. We might as well give everyone options. I'm all about that. Let me try something here. Listening to a tired blogger say "durr." Tired blogging. Okay, let's see. Cheatwood left. Oh, you left the link to Tinfoil. That's fantastic. Hell. If it weren't for the fact that I already know YouTube would ding me, I would just freaking play that at the end of the stream. And Matt Cheatwood making fun of Lord's Royals. All right. Hezbollah. Many of the explosions rocked the southern suburbs of Beirut, the main Hezbollah stronghold. Videos on social media show a number of men going about daily business when they are suddenly knocked to the ground by the force of the exploding pagers. Bystanders were also injured, and that's where I am going to give those with maybe not an opposing viewpoint, but a different viewpoint. That's where they have some strength on their side. I hope it is okay to admit that I do not give two shits for any terrorist that passed away or suffered in this event. I just don't. But I get there's also innocent bystanders. I hate that. I'm not going to hop up and down too much about it because it's not the point of this post, but I at least want to acknowledge that that's terrible, and I hate that. But as far as any legitimate terrorists taken out, I don't give a shit. Do not give a shit. They deserved it. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. If you ever feel like censoring so much, come to one of the cigar lounges and Walton Strings. You'll feel a lot better about not censoring. JPRB, you want to listen to Weird Al's Foil. As much as you love music, and the thing is, Weird Al is making fun of it, I think, but there's so many conspiracy theories that have turned out to be true that it's kind of become an anthem for those of us. I'm not sure what time Germ's stream is. Yes, Connie, I thought he should get a wrench somewhere. He's so supportive. He's here nearly all the time. I mean, if he's not working, he's here. So, with all deference to you, Connie, if anyone who isn't one of the regular wrenches deserves a wrench in this channel, it's JPRPH1. Mikey Susie 4, everyone's congratulating you. You've been promoted. Just remember, John, with great power comes great responsibility, or whatever the hell. Ambulances rushed wounded individuals to hospitals where they soon overwhelmed emergency rooms. Lebanon's Ministry of Public Health declared a medical emergency, and health officials said at least 200 of the wounded were seriously injured. While the largest number of casualties was in Beirut, many people were also wounded in the country's north and south. Hezbollah thought pagers would be more secure. There was no immediate word on how such an attack was planned and executed. In one widely circulated but unverified video, a man appears to check his pager just before it goes off. Since I've already played the clip from Law-Abiding Citizen and will almost certainly get dinged for that, I'm not going to look this one up on top of it. But a man appears to check his pager just before it goes off, suggesting the explosion may have been triggered by an incoming message. Online, some speculated that the batteries could have been made to somehow overheat. But Trevor Ball, a former explosive ordnance disposal technician for the U.S. Army, said he believes that explosives must have been planted in the pagers. So when I first watched Law-Abiding Citizen, I kind of thought that scene was BS. It looked cool, and I loved it because it satisfied my dark heart's thirst for vengeance. But I was like, oh, that's, somebody being able to do that, that's ludicrous. Well, I have no idea if it was possible at the time, but evidently it's definitely possible now. Based off the videos and pictures of the pagers, it appears that the pagers had a small amount of high explosives that were remotely initiated. Ball told NPR in a message, the widespread nature of the pagers exploding indicates that the supply chain of the pagers was compromised at some point. How I first learned about this was actually through Weinstein's Twitter page. I know we're not supposed to talk about Weinstein, but he showed some photo of some of the rubble and some of the aftermath of the incident, and he was saying that we really need to be more careful and more we need better security on our airplanes, things like that, because now that this can of worms is open, I can guarantee you terrorists are going to try that on an airplane or something. And I had no idea what was going on. I thought, what the hell is all this? So I did a minimal amount of digging and learned this was what he was talking about. Lemon Pie, did it display a message before going off? I do not know, sir. I know the article is saying that it appears to have what did they exactly say? In a widely circulated but unverified video, a man appears to check his pager, so I assume there had to at least be a beep or something, whether there was a message on it or not. My wicked dark heart would have sent a message of na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. I know that's tasteless, and hey, you can hate me for it if you want. Based off the videos and pictures, it appears pagers had a small amount of high explosives. Hezbollah members began carrying pagers after heavy fighting erupted with Israel almost a year ago. Hezbollah knows that Israel's security services are often able to hack into phone networks. The group's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, told members in a February speech to get rid of their phones. The group thought pagers would provide a more secure way to communicate. Reports from Lebanon said Hezbollah recently received a new batch of imported pagers, which were being used to share information about possible Israeli drone strikes and other attacks. After the explosions, which took place around 3:30 p.m. Tuesday, the Ministry of Public Health told all citizens who own wireless communication devices, stay away from them. Hezbollah told all its members who recently received new pagers to throw them away. Lebanon's health minister Faras Abiad said Tuesday evening that at least 2,800 people were injured. Most had wounds to the face, hands, and midsection, he said. Various media reports in Lebanon put the death toll at 9. Hezbollah and Israel began trading cross-border rocket and missile fire almost immediately after the October 7 Hamas attack on southern Israel last year. Tens of thousands of people on both sides of the Israel-Lebanon border fled their homes last year, have yet to return. For much of this time, the broad consensus has been that neither Israel nor Hezbollah wants a full-scale war, and yet I would suggest that we have it. Hello, Resolute Germ. Thank you for coming on. I know you have a stream coming up soon. Let me know what time it is, and we'll try to direct some people that way. There's like 3 different people I'm trying to help support here, but they're all good people. They all deserve it. Matt Sheetwood, let's hope no one does this to cell phones in the U.S. or anywhere else. And and yes, I absolutely hope. But that was Weinstein's point, that now that they have the idea, let's face it, the odds of it not at least being attempted here are nearly zero. Now, hopefully our intelligence people can stop it, because they've, as much as they have destroyed our liberties, they have evidently done a decent job of keeping everyone safe except Donald Trump. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, the message on the paper was bye-bye in Arabic. Yes. Resolute Germ, no, Matt, our phones blow up all on their own. Okay, so Resolute Germ has a thing going in 90 minutes. I'm hopeful I can get at least most of my stuff done by then. But anyone that wants to go there, please feel free and support Resolute Germ. Mikey Susie 4, who is going to be at least in the chat, if not in the panel of Raquel's stream. That's coming up later. Matt, most cell phones are their own mini time bombs themselves. It's called controlled obsolescence, you know. Israel has been focused on the battle in Gaza with Hamas, and Lebanon suffers from chronic political and economic problems that could become overwhelming with the war. However, fighting has been intensifying recently, and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Monday that prospects for a diplomatic solution to the Israel-Hezbollah fighting were dimming. A Taiwanese company is behind the exploding pagers, but they did not, sorry, I misread that. Taiwanese company behind exploding pagers denies involvement. All right. Su Ching-kong, the founder and president of a Taiwanese wireless pager company called Gold Apollo Company Ltd. Their stock is either about to go through the roof or plummet. I'm not really sure which. Please don't take any financial advice from me. That's I'm not that, nor am I a doctor, but I can still say COVID whenever I want. I can say ivermectin whenever I want. Screw you, censors. Confirmed his company's branding was on remnants of the electronic pagers that exploded in Lebanon. But he told NPR outside his office in northern Taiwan that it was a European company called BAC which designed and manufactured the devices. There was nothing in those devices that we had manufactured or exported to them, he said, noting the pagers were entirely different from his designs and contained a chip that Apollo does not use. Sue said Gold Apollo contracted with BAC about 3 years ago, at first to sell them pagers, though later BAC began requesting the ability to design its own devices using its own engineers while still using the Apollo brand. Sue did not disclose where BAC or its manufacturers are located, but said they paid Apollo Gold from a Middle Eastern bank account. Not that this matters. Side note, my humble opinion, this is what is called reporting. NPR, please do more of this. Telling us facts, telling us what people are saying. No need for speculation. No need for telling us how bad Trump is. No need to tell us how to vote. Thank you for good reporting in this case. All right. Horse 123, all smartphones are homing beacons. That, to my knowledge, is true. Let's see, which one do I want to go into next? It's so tempting to play Weird Al, but I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. I do want to talk about that before it's over. Let's get into drones themselves. Some might say that I'm droning on and on. On and on, drones keep on climbing. Oh, no, that's not it. I've already done that. Here we go. Off the shelf above the fight, how cheap drones are completely changing warfare. This is from the magazine taskandpurpose.com. It is an opinion piece, but it's still one of the better ones that I could find that wasn't just mainstream media talking about how everything is what it is, what they think it is. Ukraine is showing a paradigm shift. Units no longer need to rely on large platforms and layers of command and control that delay the use of drones on the battlefield. Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24 of 2022. It's about to have been 2 years. That's crazy. In the intervening 100-plus days, the world witnessed a small country's strength and resolve against a much larger aggressor, and in many areas beat back the Russian juggernaut. Again, this is not reporting. This is an opinion piece, so they can actually say those things. The war is now largely focused on Ukraine's east. It is a conflict characterized by strong conventional actions and asymmetric use of extant technologies that benefit the defender with innovative solutions. One of these areas is the use of commercial and other locally and internationally procured drones or unmanned aerial systems. There it is. That's probably what the term would be for those pagers, unmanned systems. Matt Cheatwood, have you guys heard about the 12-step program for compulsive talkers? It's called On and On and On. That's fantastic. The war is now largely focused on Ukraine's east. It is a conflict characterized by strong conventional actions. One of these areas is the use of commercial and other locally and internally procured drones. I already read that. Okay. In this article, I being Yvonne F. Ingraham, I guess it could be Ivan, but if he's actually in Ukraine or Russia, probably pronounced Yvonne. I examined my own history and usage of the large amount of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance support I levied while serving in the U.S. Special Operations Command, juxtaposed against what Ukraine is using against Russian forces. So if he's an American, it might be Ivan. Who knows? Spanning a 24-year career, he can't know what he's talking about. Oh, I'm being told hi. Hold on. Give me a second. Fortunately, Listening to Curtis Type, tired blogging, spanning a 24-year career as a ground force commander and later operations officer working for a variety of units within SOCOM. He had access. I don't even want to say because I don't want to confuse people. I'm definitely not a badass, or at least, I'm maybe more dangerous than I look, but I'm no badass. I had access to multi-layered ISR support from a variety of platforms equipped with the most sophisticated visual and targeting sensors in the United States inventory. In real time, I could receive and monitor intelligence and react to enemy movements ahead of their deployments against me or the forces managed. Here he shows a photo of a Marine launching a Switchblade drone during an exercise at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, California, where free speech is highly valued. Nothing against the Marines. It's California that I'm criticizing. Oh, Mikey Susie 4, Horse needs subs. Yeah, people, if y'all don't mind, give Horse a sub. Horse 123, DJI have some of the most popular drone technologies used against tanks. They have proven to be too effective against heavily armored vehicles. Interesting. While Yvonne cannot disclose the number and types of platforms used tied to specific capabilities, Yvonne is able to say that he had a menu of sorts from which to build a collection and engagement plan in support of missions that were complementary and specifically aligned to a requirement. This provided a great deal of flexibility for planning and execution, particularly since he could rely upon uninterrupted 24-hour coverage known as a SOAK of a targeted area, which included intelligence collection and close air support in the same platform. This is something that the 90 minutes of an on-station time of fighter aircraft like the AV-8B Harrier simply cannot provide, and I would assume probably for a tiny fraction of the cost. The operators of these ISR platforms often engaged enemy forces at danger close ranges. It was an unprecedented availability to a maneuver unit honed to a razor's edge after 20 years of worldwide combat operations in the support of the global war on terror. Horse 123, first-person view drones are too versatile in combat, from intelligence and gathering to target. Interesting. Awesome. For mission planning, a limited number of platforms, long transit distances that reduced overhead station time were other factors, making apportionment and allocation a careful consideration by theater air planners depending on the importance and precedence placed on the mission itself. A mission could be scrapped or delayed without the proper type and layering of ISR assets in support of ground forces. That alone would be an amazing saving of lives, money, time. It's just fantastic. Right. For mission planning, a limited number of platforms and long transit distances that reduced overhead station time were other factors, making apportionment and allocation a careful consideration by theater air planners depending on the importance and precedence placed on the mission itself. The tactics, techniques, and procedures perfected as a result of this support are such that it changed how the U.S. military doctrinally trained commanders to use these platforms to best effect. U.S. SOF has become so reliant on ISR that it is often briefed as part of the ground maneuver plan, and deviations from it or operating without adequate coverage is viewed in the context of the U.S. Army Special Forces team at Tongo Tongo, Niger in 2017. I did not even know we were there in Niger. Okay. Who suffered deadly consequences without it, aside from other mission planning concerns and issues found with the chain of command. Well, I'm not gonna muddy the waters with why we were there. I'd have to know more about it. U.S. military commanders have found that ISR is a minimum force requirement for mission execution, since if something does go wrong or is equally successful, observers from thousands of miles away can and do evaluate and dissect every move. A more public and strategic level example of this is illustrated in the photo the primary White House and National Security Council staff watching Operation Neptune Spear, the May 2011 raid against Osama bin Laden, in real time. Mikey Susie 4, there's a rumor the U.S. government has stealth drones that can evade radar and can destroy targets with the utmost precision. I don't doubt that it's true. I don't know, but I don't doubt it. Horse 123, Russia has developed and is currently developing FPV drones. Yeah, I mean, sure. If you've got any amount of money and got any kind of a military, I would suspect everybody's developing them. Definitely is changing history. Let's face it, it's changing policy. I wonder. Well, there's a lot of things that I wonder. Dating back to Russian incursions into Ukraine in 2014, a lot of people forget about that on both sides of that argument. The use of UAS by respective forces has only increased. What Ukraine is demonstrating is the ability to adjust to the ground situation and make the most of distributed forces as they continue harassing Russian units. Russia has its own UAS capabilities, but as of yet is not gaining the upper hand in the drone war over Ukraine. That's interesting. Ukraine has its own line of locally manufactured platforms, some of which can carry up to 4 precision munitions. These include the PD-1 and PD-2 and the Bayraktar TB2 drone. With these platforms, there are specific, well-trained forces dedicated to their employment and support to maneuver units. He said unit. Hey, Charlotte Nightstar the werewolf. Oh, thank you for coming on. Be sure and support her channel. She does some wonderful stuff. She's going to be doing a stream. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, or Charlotte, either one. I believe she's doing a stream on Saturday and Sunday. Well, let me know if I'm wrong, because I want to be involved in both if I can, but at least I want to be involved with the one celebrating Mikey's birthday. I think we're all doing swell. I didn't really feel very good today, but oddly enough, I perked up once the countdown music started going. Funny how that happens. Everyone's doing great. Resolute Germ, I wish they'd just be honest and say NATO instead of Ukraine. I think that's a valid point. Feel free, anyone, to respectfully disagree or argue the point, but I kind of tend to agree with that. Oh, woo, Saturday and Sunday. At the technical level, U.S. forces use drones such as Switchblade and Scan Eagle systems. Some variants of these platforms have been supplied to Ukraine by the U.S., and their capabilities enhance battlefield awareness and coordination for commanders, as well as offensive capabilities. But these are not the only assets being employed. Further UAS support also comes from countries like Poland. Reference back to, let's just call it NATO. This multifaceted approach to UAS allows for flexibility that circumvents ponderous approval chains and pushes support to the lowest level. All of them are proving effective in countering Russian forces. Malaya Rohan, Ukraine, May 17. In this aerial view, impact craters are seen next to an abandoned Russian army encampment in a tree line on May 17, 2022 in Malaya Rohan, Ukraine. I don't want to take anything from the bravery of the Ukrainian troops themselves. My opinion about Zelensky notwithstanding. But I would suggest that at least we should think about, would they still be standing without a ginormous amount of NATO assistance? And I think we should at least consider, I know I'm a Russian asset, but we should consider the rightness and wrongness, how much support. I don't think we should not support them at all, not going that far, but how much support is appropriate and how much actually does go too far. Mikey Susie 4, 9.5 weeks is a good art film, and we will be celebrating Mikey Susie's 4's birthday by watching said film. Great stuff this week. Looking forward to the album, Charlotte. Yes, she released a half of her album. Some glitch happened. I only got half of it, but the half I got was really good. Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte. Horse 123, NATO involvement would be the equivalent of Germany invading Poland to the Russian Federation. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Again, I wish you were, but I don't think you are. Charlotte Night Star, thank you, JPR Peach One. I am looking forward to the film. I've only seen it once, but it did seem like it was a really, really good film, and not just, for the salient reasons, prurient reasons. The Ukraine war is one of adaptation and expediency. Please name me a war that isn't. Okay, that may have been a little too cynical, but ground units can obtain any manner of commercially available off-the-shelf UAS platforms to support their maneuver without having to coordinate nor compete for their use. There are drawbacks, the biggest being adjacent unit coordination and target identification when using these systems, since Ukrainian and Russian forces are outfitted with similar main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, and other equipment. Perhaps the most innovative use of assets is found in Ukraine's adaptation of COTS drones to make them weaponized. An example of this is starkly illustrated in this video of Russian troops being engaged by a UAS that is crudely armed with grenades or small bombs. Precision weaponeering is not required in this type of warfare, and no one is coming to take the Ukrainian military to task for not having exact coordinates and adjustments to their fire plans as they wage war with Russian forces. At least, I don't think anyone on our side is. I would be curious to know if anyone in Russia is. It still would not, it wouldn't affect my stand on it either way, but I would be curious to know. These drones can be procured quickly, even through the mail, and do not require a great deal of training to use. Operators can gain a great deal of proficiencies after only a few weeks of practice. These drones seem tailor-made for the gamer generation. Oh, God help us all. So long as they don't lose signal and are fully charged, they can remain overhead, even overlapping with other more sophisticated platforms integrated into a crude station time and collection plan so that there are no gaps in coverage. It's a paradigm shift. Units are no longer reliant on large platforms and layers of command and control that delay their use on the battlefield. So, Private John, whenever you have been denied your next stripe, you know who to blame. It's those damn drones. Matt Cheatwood, imagine for a moment the U.S. invades Canada, then Russia sends weapons to Canada. Yeah, that's a really, really good analogy. Hopefully we wouldn't be crazy enough to do that, but I'm beginning to wonder if I even know how crazy we really are. Ukraine is dominating a typically unacknowledged area known as SUAS, which is not to be confused with the rodents of unusual size. These are small unmanned aerial systems, spaced specifically 1,000 feet above ground level and below. The U.S. ISR inventory is heavily populated with large Group 4s and Group 3 platforms, but Ukraine has taken another step by having 18-year-olds who are Call of Duty experts 3D print SUAS in their garage, and then strap hand grenades or other rudimentary explosive devices to a landing gear ripped with a zip tie. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I don't know if anyone in the history of warfare has ever truly exploited this area very well, but the Ukrainian military is adopting it. Find, fix, and finish. Being able to locate and destroy the enemy through self-supporting aerial reconnaissance assets shortens the kill chain, as witnessed in this footage. And I've got some videos to play, but I wanted to be careful not to play anything that it shows lots of blood and carnage. Again, I will probably be dinged, as it is for the footage from Law-Abiding Citizen. Metadata sent from still photo captures can be translated into actionable targeting. While rudimentary in its collection, the outcome is undeniable. A true cautionary tale of if you can be seen, you can be killed. The next step is making all these platforms interconnect so that they are multispectral, fast, quiet, and talk to each other. These would be a helicopter pilot's nightmare due to the altitudes at which they fly and their speed and agility in the hands of a capable operator. What are the lessons learned? A contestant carries an unmanned aerial vehicle during a competition for the best drone crew title for security forces Cherkasy, Central Ukraine on September 25 of 2018. Cool beans. U.S. forces, among others, observing the war in Ukraine can take away special key points from the conflict to date pertaining to UAS in the battlefield. 1. Always assume someone or something is looking for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the first attempted assassin of Trump, didn't he use drones to map out the area before he went there? Hopefully I'm not misreporting something. I'm not a reporter, so don't nail me too hard if I am, but sorry, distractions. Someone is always looking at or for you, either visually or with direct finding communications and signal countermeasures. Proximity to the forward line of troops means the enemy is seeking to destroy high payoff targets such as command and control, communications, and fire support nodes and units. Camouflaging is a must, and limiting ground movement during the day is also important. Relocating units under cover of darkness, again, not assuming away UAS night vision capabilities, will also reduce signature. Have a counter UAS plan. Although some platforms can fly higher than conventional weapon ranges, a small COTS drone can be shot down with small arms fire. Knowing these platforms are available to the smallest unit and their reconnaissance capabilities, even if it's just video being shot on an iPhone, allow for real-time reporting. It means a friendly unit can be tracked and engaged. Early warning and radars to detect these drones will also become paramount. They will have to be easily transportable and employed on short notice. Treat any aerial observation of your unit and its maneuvers as suspect. Seek your own UAS advantage. Do this through either a unit-supported collection plan or procure them if possible in support of your own maneuver and execution. That's right. We're going to form our own unit here and have drones running around. I don't know what for, but I don't even want to joke about some of the things. I know I would get dinged for the jokes I'm wanting to say. It can and should work both ways, though U.S. forces likely will endure ponderous approval processes for allocations and homegrown arming solutions of COTS UAS at the unit level will undoubtedly be frowned upon. Necessity is the mother of invention, however. I would explore all options to provide for the defense and force protection of my unit. And I think we all agree that we want defense and force protection for our units. Commanders have all kinds of creative people working for them. And I recommend talking to your people to see what kinds of experiences they can offer in providing solutions. See, that's where the special forces are wrong. You should beat your people down and make sure that any creativity is punished. What's wrong with you? At the SUAS level, adjacent unit coordination and deconfliction become extremely important. See what's going on in the chat. Horse 123, I have a PFV drone from Temu that can last for an hour in air. Connie Cleary said hi to Horse 123 and to Charlotte Nightstar, the werewolf. Horse 123 in the anime Asian, they make use of a drone to bring down a helicopter. I've heard reports that Russian soldiers have taken down a drone from trucks and helicopters. Resolute Germ, EMP and other jammers are going to be big business soon enough. Yeah. And that's something I kind of fear, but it is what it is. Understanding your part of the battle space. Commanders should always arrange for reconnaissance ahead of taking action. At the small unit scale, they should seek to know as much about the area in which they are fighting to include enemy movements and defensive positions as possible. With the numbers and types of platforms available, some type of observation system is available to the operational level. At the tactical level, which is perhaps the most important when it comes to UAS employment, commanders with their own integral SUAS will gain knowledge of their immediate operating space and have updated situational awareness that increases their decision space, often ahead of their higher commanders' understanding. Just imagine if they'd had drones in Gettysburg. That was already a crap show, but that would have made for an interesting battle. The lessons learned I have provided are garnered from years of service using these platforms. Again, this is Yvonne, not me. And close monitoring of the Ukraine war since the beginning. Never underestimate your enemy. Don't assume away a risk, and always provide for your own force protection. Ukraine's efforts against the larger and more equipped foe are enhanced through their constant adaptation on a modern battlefield. Certainly, they enjoy outside support in the form of weapons and technology, but the application of these assets is theirs alone. Though Ukrainian military forces do not have access to the same numbers and types of ISR platforms available to U.S. military units, they are effective in utilizing their own UAS and SUAS, integrating COTS systems at the tactical level with impressive results. Ukraine's aerial reconnaissance allows for concentrated fires to inflict casualties. With the support of UAS, Ukraine's forces have stymied the Russian advance. Russia's high casualty rates attrit the one item that once eroded is most difficult to regain: morale. In the former, Russian UAS is not bettering their opponent. In the latter, Russia has its work cut out for them. Foreign military observers, including U.S. forces, should pay close attention to how UAS supports and enhances Ukraine's efforts and learn lessons through observation versus painful experience. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Although, if you ever read H.G. Wells' story about the guy who lived among the kingdom of the blind, he had a totally different take on that. Because all the blind decided that he was the one that was handicapped and half convinced him to have his eyes taken out before he finally escaped. Oh, let's see what's going on in the chat. Horse 123. They are. Russian tanks are using signal cameras on their own new models of tanks. Some are shown to have top roof protecting their machine guns, and the cameras equals jammers. Gotcha. Okay. So they're using jammers of their new models of tanks. Yeah, it makes sense. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man gets locked in the loony bin. See, that was the whole point of the H.G. Wells story. I wish I could remember. I think it was entitled The Kingdom of the Blind. But science fiction story, obviously. But this man ended up lost in this valley where something had happened, and these people had evolved without eyes. And they'd completely adapted to, not having them. And so he kept trying to describe things to them, and they thought he was just insane. And they, like I say, by the end of the story, they nearly had him convinced, just let them take his eyes out, because it was obviously a big, big problem to him. Resolute germ morale isn't really a feature in Russian military doctrine. No, you're not wrong. And often we see that as short-sighted. I myself feel that's short-sighted. Having said that, if you even just do a cursory study, and that's really all I've done, but a cursory study of the Battle of Stalingrad, yeah, they fought when just about anybody else would just give up. Let's see. All right. So let's look at some of these videos. I doubt that we get through all of them. I probably will only go through one or maybe two of them. Let's start with this one. I have not gotten all the way through this one, but the little bit that I did get through was actually really fascinating. Okay. How drones could revolutionize warfare. Let's take a look at what some of the things that they say. I'm going to skip ahead. No, I'm going to start from the beginning. I may skip as I go, but
throughout history, humans have launched all manner of objects into the skies above, but some of the first attempts at doing so in a controlled manner occurred during the First World War. Hoping to break the stalemate on the front lines through long-range aerial bombardment, the United States Army worked on a device known as the Kettering bug, an unmanned aerial torpedo considered to be the forerunner of the modern cruise missile. Various militaries would continue experimenting with unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, throughout the first half of the 20th century. Notably, the British and American Air Forces developed several radio-controlled drones that were used as targets to train anti-aircraft gunners. Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy also made use of several radio-guided vehicles, with the Germans in particular introducing vehicles like the Argus 292 into active service.
And let's face it, the first missiles, maybe not the V2 rockets and stuff, are essentially just a really high-tech improvement on those. H.G. Wells, War of the Worlds, read it and loved it. Yeah, I love H.G. Wells. His politics was kind of crap, but his storytelling, and I also love that he was such a proponent of science itself. Okay, Matt Sheetwood, you enjoyed the stream. Thank you very much. He has to go. Hopefully the goats are treating you well, sir.
By the Cold War, unmanned UAVs were increasingly used to conduct reconnaissance missions over hostile territory. The desire to use drones for such missions increased dramatically after the downing of a manned U-2 spy plane over the Soviet Union in 1960. During the Vietnam War, drones such as the Ryan Model 147 Lightning Bug were used extensively for reconnaissance and as decoys that drew attention away from manned aircraft. Overall, it's estimated that drones conducted over 3,000 flights throughout the Vietnam War. Israel also made extensive use of UAVs during their numerous conflicts throughout the 1960s and 1970s, with drone reconnaissance playing a pivotal role in their success against Egypt and Syria. The latter half of the 20th century saw drones such as the AAI RQ-2 Pioneer used for reconnaissance by the US during the Gulf War. Notably, the Gulf War marked the first instance of human soldiers surrendering to an unmanned platform.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. Yeah. I have mixed emotions for our reasons for going. I don't. I just don't think we should have. I don't think we should have invaded. At least not the second time. And that first time, I don't know. I get we were trying to help Kuwait out, but it just beyond getting them out of Kuwait, I wonder if there was much point beyond that. But yeah, I'd forgotten there were soldiers that surrendered to a freaking drone.
Drones were also used during the air campaign over Iraq as decoys, tricking Iraqi air defenses into switching on their radars, which were then locked onto by radar-seeking missiles launched from coalition aircraft. Soon, however, drones no longer needed crewed aircraft for lethal assistance. On February 16, 2001, the U.S. Air Force successfully launched its first drone-mounted Hellfire missile over a bombing range in Nevada. This marked the first time that a reusable UAV was offensively armed and marked a turning point in drone warfare. The US-led War on Terror marked the start of modern drone warfare. Drones went from doing...
Yeah, I remember Obama got a lot of flack from the right wing from his joke about drones. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, they were scared to death of the guns on the New Jersey. Yeah. I can't really blame them.
Doing recon to providing close air support in missions across Afghanistan and Iraq. It was during the War on Terror that the drone also gained a measure of infamy, thanks to its extensive use in precision strikes on specific targets believed to be of strategic significance. The lack of any pilots on board effectively removed the human risk factor, which in turn greatly reduced the diplomatic risk of a mission. These two advantages worked together to allow global actors, such as the United States, to use drones much more brazenly than manned aircraft. From the 2000s to the 2010s, drones were usually used by stronger conventional powers on much weaker opponents. However, in the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War of 2020 showed how UAVs could be used in a war between opponents of more equal power. In this conflict, both Armenia and Azerbaijan had UAVs, but Azerbaijan...
I've been wondering for a long time how long before we can expect bad elements to get similar ideas to what happened to Hezbollah with the pagers. And I've been wondering about, and there's so many things, even a fairly not trained person like myself, I can think of several ways where a drone could be used to just hurt the crap out of a lot of people.
Azerbaijan stood out.
Not going to do it, though. Shout out to the NSA agent monitoring this phone call. For one thing, if I was going to get a drone, I would, I don't even know what I would use it for. I guess I would just film countryside and post it to YouTube or something. I don't know.
By using their drones more aggressively, especially the Turkish Bayraktar TB2. These drones were used very effectively against Armenian armor and artillery, helping further tip the conflict's balance in Azerbaijan's favor. Importantly, Azerbaijan's success in this war proved that UAVs could be successfully deployed against opponents with relatively modern air defenses. However, even though drones were highly effective, the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh did not prove that they were capable of winning conventional wars by themselves. Azerbaijan's superior military meant that drones only reinforced existing advantages. Armenian air defense strategy was arguably poor and could have performed better under different leadership. And most importantly, the use of drones did not eliminate the need for ground combat, as Azeri forces still took relatively heavy losses.
All right. That is from the Armchair Historian. I won't watch the rest of the video. It is very informative, though. Definitely recommend that if you want a deeper dive, go ahead and watch him. I have left the link in the comments below. So when we're done with this, if you're not going to Netter and you're not going to Germs and you're not going to Raquel Stream, take a look at what drones are doing. I'm going to go to one more video and may call it a stream after that because I want to give people ample time to go to Germs. Oh, I think that's what you're saying. You're going to Germs, I think. Okay. Hail Tim, the one that they call Tim. All right, one more video, not the whole thing, just the beginning portion of it. Mainly because I just wanted to show some of the images that they have. I'm going to skip the intro on it and just show you some of the images that are coming from drone warfare. I watched these, so I think I made sure not to get anything graphic, but my apologies if there's anything that I did miss. Here we go. DIY drones. War will never be the same, from Johnny Harris's channel.
Kiev feeling these days is this kind of tense waiting period because everyone's ready for another kind of wave of Russian missile and drone attacks against the energy system.
I want to hear about your time on the front lines, and I want to hear about drones, and just walk me through that story.
11 o'clock in the morning, we met our contact. We jumped in his car and headed out straight towards the city of Bakhmut, which is now basically in ruins. It was pretty quiet, but then we started to get hit by Russian shelling, by mortar shelling. You can hear the whistle coming in and the explosion. You can feel it in the ground when it's really close. And when the time came, the target was acquired and it was time to go out and fly. They had the drone ready with the munition on it.
And what did the drone look like? Can you describe it?
So it's an FPV drone.
There we go. Quadcopter.
So it's a quadcopter, but it's a very kind of crude design. And on the bottom, you have the actual munition strap. It's actually made from a helicopter rocket. They cut the rocket part off and they just use the warhead. The pilot would on these crazy futuristic goggles and have the controller in his hand. But at that point, you start to see this Russian electronic warfare jamming stuff starting to kick in. So it really is like, oh, the signal's gone. Oh, now it's back. There's a button somewhere that's like, okay, this is where we release the bomb.
So a lot of the drones that they're using in Ukraine actually look a lot like the drones I use when I'm out reporting in the field, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. I need to tell you about something, which is spam.
Yes, spam a lot. Yeah, essentially the stuff that you could just buy in a store, it can be turned into a devastating weapon. I think I will play one more, a little bit from Task and Purpose. They have a YouTube show about drones. Again, just to show you some of the footage of what it looks like for drones to be used on the battlefield. They're making the point here, you have a $10 million tank. And
just look at this video of a weaponized civilian drone Hamas used to take out an Israeli remote control machine gun during their October attack, or their use against communication towers. Here's another video of a commercial drone being prepped for use in the ongoing Sudan civil war. Now you have the power of surveillance and close support, organic at the squad level, for a few $1,000s instead of a few million. But nowhere is the combat use of drones, small and large, more prevalent than in the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. Small quadcopters and fixed drones with increasingly heavy payloads.
I love the Angry Bird patches on their uniforms.
Are able to hit soft targets. There's even a full Reddit page dedicated to Ukrainian drone combat footage. What technological advances in the past few decades allowed for this type of warfare? What are some of the most successful tactics we've observed on the battlefield? In order to understand how drone warfare really works, I got this Skywalker long-range, ready-to-fly drone from UAV Systems. It cost a couple $1,000.
So he's got the real deal right there, $2,000. Wow.
The only way I was able to get my hands on this was thanks to our partner, GetEnterToWin.com.
Yeah, don't care about the partners. Sorry. No free advertising here.
Channel and our ability to keep in. You must be a U.S. resident in order to win, and the deadline to enter is October 29th by 11:59
But you
p.m.
can be a
Thank
Russian
you for your
asset
support.
to win.
Good luck. First things first, what is a drone? Google will tell you it's a continuously low humming sound. While that's technically correct, most people refer to drones as uncrewed aerial vehicles, and they've existed pretty much since people invented balloons. As far back as 1849, the Austrian warship Volcano launched balloons off the coast of Venice in an effort to firebomb the city. This is actually a pretty underrated event, as it marks the first use of drones, air warfare, and an aircraft carrier in European history. The Volcano launched roughly 200 paper balloons with timed fuses and 24 to 30 pound bombs with the intent of creating fires and chaos in the streets of Venice. However, wind caused the balloons to drift off course, and the attack ultimately failed.
Up and away, my beautiful balloon. Yes, let's skip ahead to the Kettering bug.
American-made remote piloted aircraft designed to kamikaze into its target. Developed in 1918, the Kettlebug acted as an early cruise missile with a range of 75 miles and a top speed of 50 miles per hour. But difficulties in testing kept this drone from ever deploying into actual combat. Post-World War I drone development in the United States and Great Britain continued to develop, mostly for the purposes of creating flying targets that pilots and anti-aircraft gunners could safely shoot out of the sky. In the East, Imperial Japan built roughly 10,000 balloon bombs during World War II and sent them on the westerlies to drift towards the west coast of the United States. Operation Fugo was clearly the fever dream of some Imperial Japanese staff officer.
And remember, we had a balloon go overhead not that long ago.
While it looked good on paper, the operation failed to deliver in practice. Bombs were strapped to a fixed volume balloon with internal mechanics that autonomously adjusted the gas mixture and ballast system to maintain a steady altitude. A secondary altimeter decided when to release the balloon's thermite incendiary and anti-personnel bombs when the device was over the United States. Although these balloon bombs were far more advanced than those launched against Venice in 1849, they were still not good enough to have any significant impact. Almost 10,000 balloons launched from Japan towards the United States between November 1944 and April 1945. For all this effort, only one balloon resulted in wartime casualties. And in another foreshadowing of drone warfare, that balloon only killed innocent people who were on a picnic in Oregon. After World War II, drones...
But then, since when are military targets a legitimate target? Horse 123, Mohajer is an Iranian film about a radio-controlled drone. I haven't found an English release yet. Interesting. Okay, well, I know that Germ is doing his stream. I believe, Resolute Germ. So essentially, again, if you want a deep dive, oh wait, Moira's here. I might go on for a few more minutes just to have something for her to listen to. Thank you very much, Moira. Meow meow. We're talking about drones. Basically, how the nature of warfare has changed, at least for the foreseeable future. That we now can use cheap drones instead of massive airplanes. We still will always need boots on the ground, but we can definitely do a lot better job of reconnaissance with fewer lives lost, with a lot less cheap, a lot cheaper equipment than we'd used before. And Ukraine is, I don't know about leading the way, but per force they're having to adapt to survive. And one of their adaptations has been the use of drones against the Russian military. Now, to be fair-ish, the Russian military is learning how to use them back. So let's see, the Ryan model. Let's see if we can learn a little bit about that.
Continued to develop alongside aviation technology. In Vietnam, for instance, the Ryan Model 147 both deployed and was collected mid-air. No runway necessary. These small and fast drones regularly evaded North Vietnamese anti-air and were able to fly in places conventional aircraft could not. The Ryan Model 147 were mostly used as scouting and reconnaissance for bombing missions or to drop propaganda leaflets. The 2001 US invasion of Afghanistan marked the first modern drone strike in history. Predator drones, originally built solely for surveillance and reconnaissance missions in 1994, were on the hunt for key Taliban leaders prior to the ground invasion of Afghanistan. In Langley, Virginia, some CIA
I'm on the hunt, I'm after you.
officers had the very American idea of putting some guns on board to see what it could do. In Kandahar, Afghanistan, CIA Predator number 3034 launched the first ever kinetic drone strike on the Taliban leader Mullah Omar. Unfortunately, the pilots missed their target and struck Omar's bodyguards instead. Rally on me for a second, Spare Parts Army, because I have a story to tell you. Back in my day, close air support required multi-million-dollar aircraft and a forward air controller, a pilot, and was limited to things like time on target and time on station parameters. When you added up the cost of jet fuel, ordnance, maintenance, and training, each close air support strike that you called in cost the taxpayer an equivalent of a brand new school. But the 2010s most modern militaries were working on their own drone programs. Turkey began their armed UAV program with the Bayraktar in 2004. Iran began using drones for reconnaissance during their 8-year war with Iraq in the 1980s, but officially announced their weaponization in collaboration with Russia in 2016. According to the Center for the Study of Drone at Bard College, China's first drone was a U.S. Air Force AQM-34 freebie that China reverse engineered in the 1960s.
That's wonderful. I love reverse engineering. Meow, meow, and purr. You got it. Drones make us happy.
By 2009, China revealed their Chengdu JG-1, or Wing Long 1, with underwing hardpoints for 200-kilogram bombs, or BRM-1 and AKD-10 missiles. Under President Obama, the use of drones to kill terrorist operatives in Syria and Yemen, without the large-scale deployment of combat troops that were unpopular after the Iraq and Afghanistan war, their tactical employment was brought to a new level. Over Obama's 2 terms as president, he authorized 540 publicly recognized strikes that killed approximately 3,797 people, over 10 times more than his predecessor Bush. Nations without access to US military drones, but still craving that sexy Predator look, turned to China. Foreign sales of the Wing Long after the Obama presidency took off. Starting in 2017, Chinese drones saw frequent combat missions in Egypt, Yemen, Ethiopia, and Libya. Meanwhile, the development...
So there you have it. The big reason to oppose Trump, we lost drone sales to China. I'm kind of just teasing, but I don't doubt that some of my friends will latch onto that. You're right. You're right. That's exactly why we should oppose him.
Development of commercial off-the-shelf or COTS drones really began to take off in 2013. This is when the Chinese company DJI began manufacturing one of the first ready-to-fly drones, the DJI Phantom. Unlike its US military knockoff predecessors, DJI appeared to be a legitimately innovative Chinese company. Over the next several years, the company continued to make drones faster, smaller, and more stable. By 2017, DJI drones controlled 74% of the entire market. 2013 was really the first year that everyday people were able to tinker with drones from their local Walmart or Best Buy. Not long after this, things started to get really silly. In 2015, a Japanese eco-terrorist upset about Japan's nuclear program purchased and flew a DJI Phantom II onto the roof of the Prime Minister's house that he had purposefully contaminated with radiation. Soon after, Japan passed new restrictions on drone flying, and Tokyo police began hunting down illegal drones with their own drone-catching quadcopters. Not long afterwards, drone technology gained traction in terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and the Islamic State. Take a look at this ISIS propaganda footage from 2017 of drones used to drop grenades in Mosul. In the past decade, the frequency and availability of weaponized commercial drones has skyrocketed. So in 2020, the ability for both military and civilian drones to influence the outcome of localized conflicts in Libya and Nagorno-Karabakh caught the attention of military powers around the world. Now, of course, we could be exaggerating to say that those conflicts wouldn't have gone the way that they would have without drones, but they certainly had an influence. In Libya, the Turkish drone Kargu made international headlines as the closest we've come to living in the movie The Terminator. The Kargu is both a fully autonomous recon drone and a remote piloted strike drone. Visit their...
No need to be scared. The Terminator is not coming for you. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Horse 123. Anyone hear about BYD electric cars? I've seen them in Michigan, where I live. I haven't heard enough about them to do any intelligent commentary here, but yeah, I have heard about them. I just don't really know squat about them.
Our website today, and it clearly states that, quote, precision strike mission is fully performed by the operator in line with man-in-the-loop principle. This front page emphasis on having man in the loop is because in 2020, conflict observers from the United Nations reported that a fully autonomous Kargu swarm attacked warlord militia on behalf of the Turkish-backed government of national accord. This alleged attack created a lot of controversy over the ethics of a fully autonomous strike. Man in the loop, if you're not familiar with the term, it's often used in all different types of military weapons and equipment, and it means that they're somewhere along the line in the kill chain, before the button is pushed, before the missile is sent, there is a human being that is confirming that strike. So the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh conflict sealed the fate of the importance of drones in modern conflict. Images of Azerbaijan's Israeli and Turkish-bought drones destroying tanks and acting as forward observers for artillery sold the importance of drones in the way that pictures can tell 1,000 words.
Drones in the Nagorno-Karabakh War, analyzing the data. I need to do more research about that.
Analysis published in Military Strategy magazine concluded that it is very clear that without the drones, the Azeris would not have achieved the success they did. While neither side had a significant air force to establish air dominance, Azerbaijan's drones tipped the balance of the conflict with its comparative air supremacy.
Thing is, you can get a drone for just the tiniest fraction of the cost of a plane.
At a fraction of the price. So countries that can't necessarily afford an air force can afford drone air forces. To emphasize this point, Colonel Scott Shaw, former head of the Army's Asymmetric Warfare Group, said in a paper published in Foreign Policy magazine, quote, "You don't have to be the United States or Russia anymore. The price point to entry into combined arms warfare is lower than initially thought." On February 24, 2022, when Russia marched into Ukraine for the second time, Ukrainian forces took these lessons to heart. Shortly after the invasion, a special volunteer unit began transforming commercial drones and custom-built drones for combat against Russian invaders. When a 40-mile convoy marched from Belarus towards the capital, Kyiv, about 30 Ukrainians on ATVs carrying weaponized commercial drones repeatedly struck the convoy. The relatively short distance and low altitude meant the Russian aircraft and air defense did not have time to protect ground troops from these low-flying UAV threats. Russian jamming devices also blocked their own communications, so these Ukrainian units simply waited until Russians turned the jamming off to launch strikes. Alongside these Ukrainian commercial drones, the Turkish Bayraktar TB2 drone was shish-kebabbing Russian armor. As the war continued, a combination of improved Russian air defense and diminishing replacements slowly removed the Bayraktar from the center stage of the Ukraine-Russian drone war. In its place, loitering munitions began filling in the gaps. Companies competing for U.S. defense contracts supplied Ukraine with new loitering.
Yep, there we go. There's a good reason to keep that war going. Let's sell them some weapons. The PRC is expected to make huge gain in the X-vehicle market. Yep.
Munitions to test products in active combat. For those that don't already know, loitering munitions are the next stage for fire and forget ordnance. These are essentially drones that'll launch and circle the battlefield while searching for a target. Once the user designates one, they move in for a kamikaze strike. The Switchblade 300 and 600 are two US-made loitering munitions active in Ukraine. Depending on the variant, these drones weigh anywhere between 4 and 65 pounds. They launch from a mortar-like tube and circle the battlefield for 20 to 40 minutes, and then accelerate to 100 miles per hour before striking a target.
So if we were going to rewrite the Terminator, instead of sending a Terminator back, Skynet could have just sent a drone. Problem solved.
Details on their performance in Ukraine are hard to come by, but on the 16th of October 2023, the U.S. Army batch ordered itself 100 Switchblades for testing and fielding. In the wake of low-performing cruise missiles, Russia also turned to loitering and kamikaze drones in Ukraine. Take a look at this video. This is an Iranian-made Shahed 136 striking the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Without a strong...
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Maybe I should have done a little better prep, but it almost sounds like we're selling weapons to both sides. If that's so, that's very interesting. And howdy, Salshi, the man from the future. There's a joke about me droning on about drones. Yeah, I know. People are either very fascinated or very bored. I don't know which. Hopefully they're more fascinated. Thank you, Moria. You're very kind. I'll go ahead and finish this video, and then we'll call it a stream unless y'all have some other thing that you want to talk about. How drone warfare changed everything, task and purpose.
Domestic industrial base, Iran began fielding Russia the Shahed 136, an attack drone capable of traveling more than 1,000 miles, according to an investigative report.
Well, hell, there's a good reason to be mad at Iran. If they're cutting into our drone business, that market share, we can't allow that to be dropped.
Done by the Wall Street Journal. Deals with Russia seek to create domestic Iranian drone plants capable of producing 6,000 Shahed 136 drones by 2025. From what we understand about drones thus far, they're very good at compensating for a lack of traditional theater dominance. They appear most effective when neither side has complete control over the skies. Taking this logic into other theaters, Ukraine also built a fleet of unmanned surface vessels in the Black Sea to strike at the Russian Navy. As a result, most of the Russian Navy is sequestered on the far edge of Crimea, away from their home port of Sevastopol. And you can see the effects of this by looking at these Russian ships hiding far away in the east to try to avoid these drones. After the October attack by Hamas, the world is anticipating an IDF land invasion of Gaza Strip. What role will drones play in fighting on...
You know, something that likely, maybe it's being reported and I just haven't heard it, but we're making a great big deal about how Ukraine has more or less kind of equalized the effort against Russia, and that's great. But we got to remember the same tactics that Ukraine is using against Russia, Iran, or, I mean, I don't want to be a fear monger, but a smaller nation that we normally wouldn't be afraid of can be used against us. Again, that's not the fear monger. Well, for example, Malaysia. We all know that Sashi is actually a Russian asset trying to learn things about our American ways. That is okay, comrade Sashi. I too have received many Russian rubles. But no, seriously, we may have to reevaluate who power players really are based off of this. Moira Kitty is not wrong at all, and especially not in this case. We sell to anybody willing to pay to us. Yeah, we sure as heck do.
On both sides, we've already seen Hamas use commercial weaponized drones to attack Israeli during their initial assault. From this footage aired on Indian Today, Hamas appears to have a modest fleet of rail-launched fixed-wing drones at their disposal. This is the Elbit Systems Lanius drone. The Lanius is designed to accompany a squad of infantry and fill a multi-role, part recon and part loitering munition. The device can launch from a larger mothership or individually, navigate inside buildings even, and rest in an ambush mode like a claymore. This smaller squad-issued drone is clearly a product of innovation from the war between Ukraine and Russia, yet modified to fit the unique, dense urban environment of the Gaza Strip, something we haven't really seen much of yet. 1 month before the Hamas attack, on September 13th, Israel released public information on a secretive drone project called Spark. This medium-sized, highly sophisticated drone helps create a better picture of the operating area while also improving communication. According to an Israeli Air Force spokesperson, the Spark is, quote, worth 10 different UAVs in its intelligence capabilities. Innovation in technology and automation in drones is changing the way that soldiers fight in wars. Chris Cappy, find me at Cappy Army on Instagram. That's CAPPY Army on Instagram. And as always, thank you for watching Spare Parts Army.
All right. So we've done a little, maybe not a deep dive, but we've done a cursory review on drones, what they are, what kinds are available, how they've changed warfare, largely in Ukraine, but other places as well. And I think, even us civilians need to at least be aware of the change in the dynamics. Again, this is not fear monger. This isn't to say that the United States is going to fall tomorrow because Iran's going to invade us with drones. But definitely we need to be more aware of it. I need to be more aware of it. And do some thinking about these things when we're making our business decisions, our voting decisions. Heck, maybe it might not be a bad idea to invest in a drone and just play with it just for that reason, to kind of get some grasp on how they might be used against us someday. Sashi, don't blow my cover in the media, Tovarish. No, we will not blow thy cover. It is very good. The revolution will live on, and we shall carry it to fruition. I don't know. My accent's failing. Orville Nation, howdy. Thank you for showing up. You're kind of toward the end of the stream, which is not your fault. I kept changing the time on it. I'd change the time on it, and then I'd find out that there was another wonderful streamer doing something then. So finally, today I just made the executive decision to do it at 5 p.m. Central. And I don't know that this is the best one I've ever done. Pretty sure I may get a nasty gram from YouTube saying that some of it was too graphic, but hopefully it was worth the time, and hopefully informative, maybe hopefully a little bit entertaining. Heck yeah, more. I knew you would like that. The guy from Law Abiding Citizen. So I start this stream. Hopefully YouTube does not take it down. I start it with about 20 seconds from Law Abiding Citizen. The reason I do that is because one of the things he did in that movie that I called a BS on back then, and now I realize maybe it's more possible than I thought. But there's a scene where the judge who over leniently sentenced the home invaders that got the whole ball rolling and turned him into the lovely law-abiding citizen he became, He rewarded that judge for her leniency of these wonderful people by basically blowing her head off with a cell phone. And as we all know, I don't want to get too angsty this because I know there's two different ways to look at it. But there's been the exploding pagers from Hezbollah, and with respect to you, Maura, I do not give a shit about terrorists being blown up. But as you will point out fairly and honestly enough, there were also a fair number of innocent victims, and that's really not cool. So again, I don't want to trot on anybody's viewpoint on that, but it is in some ways interesting and in some ways a terrible development. Sashi, it's all Germany's fault with their V1s. Agreed. It's always Germany's fault. Everybody knows that. Okay. We're almost done here. Let me finish up with the chat. You are not wrong, Orville. There is always someone streaming, and there's always someone really cool and that I want to support. So at some point, one just has to pick a time and hopefully do their best. I do appreciate everyone for showing up. I don't know if this is the best stream you ever saw. I'm not going to make a lame excuse. I wasn't really feeling good today, but I got to admit, when I started hearing the music and started streaming myself, it's a really good feeling. So thank you guys for being here. I guess I will take us out with the rock music instead of the soft prone music. So we're talking about drones and weapons, baby. We need rock and roll. Thank you very much, Orville. I'm already feeling better. I think if I just go to bed, not eat crap tonight, what have you, I think I'll be pretty good in the morning. But I appreciate it. I always value positive vibes, prayers, all those things. Mr. Lundell's groovy movies in wartime. Yeah, you're not wrong. In wartime, civilians suffer and die too. The drone complaint is non sequitur. I can totally respect that. It's, again, I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to offend people in the chat who might have a little bit different idea, but I get what you're saying. I sure do. Thank you, JPRPH1. You're very kind. And Mr. Lundell's groovy movies. Oh, one thing I was going to share. I'm so glad that you said that because it reminded me. I want to start sharing our friend. I can't remember. I'm having a senior moment. But I know you're aware. You turned me on to this, Mr. Lundell. There's the project freethenet.org. The internet revolution is upon us. It is coming soon. Don't know exactly how soon, but I want to be supportive of this site and the gentleman who is the leader behind it. And I know that you have you have also contributed quite a bit to this, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Yes, LDG. I want to start sharing this out. I don't know if I have enough money to really be a significant help to him there, but I want to start sharing it out. That there are people who have a vision for something better than all this crap that the internet feeds us. He's attempting to have open collaboration, a space where you collaborate without the fear of censorship. As you know, that is one of the top themes of my channel. Censorship is right out. I might agree with you politically on a lot of things, but if you're the censor, you're not the good guy. I'm just putting that out there. Tech support. Well, I've found that tech support on a lot of these sites is crap. You know, if you need someone for a call center, I have some call center experience. And while I don't really want to do it again, I'd be willing to do it for this cause. Community building. It's what we're all trying to do here, and I love how this community builds each other up. Often, even when the politics is different, we still love and support each other. A resource hub, and hashtag Return Zero, our initiative focused on not giving away your information for free. Take control of your data like never before. So I know I'm not giving a lot of details. I'll share more as I learn more, but I just want to be more proactive at sharing this movement. Please be aware of it, contribute if you can. Please get in touch with LDG if you're at all interested, and see what we can do to make this happen. Horse 193, see you later, alligator. Good night. Indeed. Let me thank everyone in the chat. I'll let you guys go and go to all these wonderful streams that we have discussed. I know Resolute Germ is doing one, probably as we speak. Netters Network is doing one. Raquel is doing one. I think I'm having a senior moment. Please, Orville Nation, if I get this wrong, forgive me, but I think Maria with Tea and Telly, I think she is doing something tonight as well. So there's all kinds of places to go, wonderful people with wonderful content that you won't want to miss, but likely you will have to miss some of them because you can't always do it all at once. But support them where if you can. Thank you very much, JPRPH1. You're very supportive. Your prayers are very valued. I do not doubt that they helped me in feeling better today. I don't doubt it. I have to paraphrase. There's a scripture, the fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much, or something like that. Kapla to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Thank you very much. You're also very supportive. I know you have a community of people around you, and they are wunderbar. Thank you very much. Connie Cleary, faithful bird woman of YouTube, one of the great wrenches. When I'm a millionaire, she's going to make the money she deserves. Until then, though, she seems to work pretty cheap. Maybe we should quit praising her. She might start wanting to be compensated. I'm just teasing. Not about any of it. Just, you definitely deserve praise. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, wonderful site. I really mean it. I know I say it all the time, so I got to be careful about it sounding trite, but you have one of the best movie sites I have found. There's so many silent movies, old movies, groovy movies. It's a great place to go. The China virus. We didn't talk about the China virus. Mr. Lundell was conservative when conservative wasn't cool. I was as well. Then I went centrist, and now I'm going off the deep end again. But anyway, Horse 183, thank you very much for showing up. Thank you for your contributions to the chat. Very insightful. Thank you for that. Matt Cheatwood, a very supportive person, very intelligent. Hopefully the NSA agent monitoring this phone call will not get on to me for saying that he is one of the best preppers I know, but without being wacko crazy. He's got his feet firmly on the ground and is a threat to no one who doesn't try to step on his property without permission. Just, kind of putting that out there. Lemon Pie, greetings to you. Also one of the great wrenches of the internet. Love seeing you here. Thank you very much. Mikey Sousa 4, who I believe will be doing a stream later with Raquel and possibly with Moira Kitty later tonight. He's also doing a stream or two over the weekend and celebrating his 21st birthday. I believe it's on Sunday, so wish him a happy birthday if you're connected to him on any of the social medias. So many good people here. I love this. And of course, Resolute Germ. He's probably streaming right now. You're listening to me thanking people when you could probably be listening to him saying cool stuff on his channel. But we're almost done. I think there's only one or two more Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Oh! Check out her music, check out her writings, and check out her blog about Twin Peaks, all things David Lynch, and her insatiable lust for Kyle MacLachlan. I am not jealous of the bastard at all. Not at all. Curtis said right before he was blocked on YouTube. Tim, thank you and hail. Some there are that call you Tim. Look at the bones. He's got huge, sharp, nasty, pointy teeth. Meow, meow. Moira Kitty, thank you for all that you do for the community. Thank you for having a different perspective than most of us, but a well-informed one. We do well to at least listen to Moira and listen with respect. She knows what she's talking about. You may see things differently than she does, but she knows what the hell she's talking about. And she also plays some really cool movies. Orville Nation, thank you so much for your wisdom, your kindness, your support. I love the, I don't know what the term should be, kind of the, I don't want to say new age, because I don't know that that's exactly the term that should be used, but you have an open mind, a generously open mind. I love that about you. And Orville will prevail. Have faith that it will. I love that show. It needs to come back, and I know that we believe that it will. I'm Connie Cleary. I'm not tired. Take it back. Oh, we're missing some stuff. Okay. Sashi doesn't have experience in call centers, but you should be an okay for being an Indian. You know, I haven't done all the crappy industries, but I've done a lot of them. I know you have more retail experience, but I've got that call center experience. Finally doing me a little bit of good stead here, although there's a lot of things that the company would have dinged me for. You don't throw F-bombs at your customers. JPRPH1, we've got to be strong enough to preserve our kindness. Vivek Ramaswamy, I believe, who I would have voted for if things had gone differently. But you know what? Just trying to have faith that it's all in God's hands. And Moira Kitty, woo, happy birthday to Mikey Susie 4. I got through the chat. If I did miss anyone, my apologies. You are all loved and appreciated. I will do my spiel and call it a stream. My spiel it's been said that life is pain, and that anyone that tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. I, in fact, am trying to sell you something. Trying to sell you on the idea that liberty is better than tyranny. Freedom is so much more precious than slavery. That yes, you should peacefully submit to a legitimate government that you have had a part in choosing and that has your best interests at heart. That you should not submit to tyrants or bow down to bullies. And lastly of all, please know you are not going crazy. You are going sane in a world gone mad. God bless everyone. I hope to see at least most of you later on one of these streams. And I am still trying to figure out what I want to do for Saturday. Got to think of a cartoon that will be hopefully spiffy and relevant. I haven't thought of which one it will be yet. Suggestions, respectful, are welcome. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Thursday.